Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé that I don't want any more of his handmade Christmas gifts? My fiancé and I have been together for over 2 years and we celebrated both Christmases together. The first year, I bought him maybe $50 worth of presents, mostly stuff he'd hinted at wanting to buy. He gave me a fancy origami star with "Merry Christmas" written on it in Sharpie. We hadn't dated very long, so I didn't think twice about the whole thing, and honestly the star was pretty cute. We hadn't actually discussed presents at all before that point, so it's not like I was expecting anything more. Last Christmas was a bit different. We did have the talk about presents, and he directed me to his Amazon wishlist and told me to get him something off there. The problem was that everything on his wishlist is hugely expensive, with the cheapest item being a few $100 at least. I ended up getting him a Nintendo Switch and he was really happy with that. In return, he presented me with what was basically a piece of laminated paper cut into the shape of a Xmas tree. While I tried to be tactful, a few weeks later I did bring up that I felt a bit disappointed with his gift. My fiancé seemed flawed and reminded me how I love handmade gifts. That's true, and I've talked before about how I love getting a scarf from one of my friends every year, but there's a difference between a scarf and a piece of paper. I told him all this and he promised he'd think about it. Now we're in 2020, and my fiancé has been talking for months about how much he'd love a PS5 console for Christmas. I told him I'd try my best to find one, even though they're really hard to find at the moment. The next day I gave him a list of some things I'd like for Christmas, all around $100. My fiancé thanked me but turned down the list, telling me he was going to handmake my present himself again. When I told him I'd much rather have something off my list, he told me he'd already started making my present so it would have to wait till next year. Things have been really weird between us since then. I brought this up to my mother recently and while she agreed that while I had a right to be upset, I should appreciate my fiancé's handmade gifts because they're made from the heart. From my perspective, it feels a lot more like he just doesn't care. Although I haven't managed to order him a PS5 yet, this whole situation is making me not want to even try. Am I the asshole for telling him to stop it with the handmade presents?
Not the asshole. Laminate a picture of a PS5 and make a Christmas ornament out of it. That'll get the point across. Edit. Wow, folks. I made myself lunch and came back to this. Thank you kind strangers for all the love. Well, the people have spoken. Balls in your court. Keep us posted.
Not the asshole. He sounds very cheap and immature. He's expecting you to buy him things, but then gives you a cootie catcher from notebook paper that took a few minutes. It would be different if he wasn't making you a handmade gift that third graders make in class for their mothers. Gotta admit he has balls to try to pull this bullshit off with a straight face. You should make him a handmade dildo so he can fuck himself.
Not the asshole. Handmake all his gifts. Tell him you're inspired by his own gift giving, and feel it's only right if you return his, from the heart, handmade gifts with your own handmade gifts. A laminated picture of a PS5 sounds fair.
Not the asshole. But the best way to show him how you feel would be to not get him expensive electronics and instead make him something. If he gives simple handmade gifts, then he shouldn't expect really expensive purchased gifts in return. Bake him a batch of cookies.
Take the PS5 money and buy yourself a gift with it. Then give him back his laminated tree for Christmas.
I should appreciate my fiancé's handmade gifts because they're made from the heart. True, but what does it say about his heart if his homemade gifts are half-assed? Some people are just terrible at gift giving, and it sounds like fiancé is one of them. Not the asshole.
Make a nice origami PS5 and give it to him.
Not the asshole. His gifts are made from the heart, all right. From the heart of a cheapskate. He knows what he's doing. Don't dare buy him a PS5 or anything expensive. Give him a game for the PS5 and tell him the console will have to wait until next year. Not the asshole. If I was you this Christmas, I'd give him a handmade gift as well. It's definitely not fair that you spend so much money on stuff he wants, but when it's your turn he just refuses to give you what you want.
Not the asshole. Handmade presents may come from the heart, but he's shorting you by hundreds of dollars a year and actively ignoring your requests, whilst expecting you to buy from his list. Either handmade goes both ways and you make him, say, a scrunched-up napkin emblazoned with Feliz Navidad on it, or he stops with his cheap AITA and buys you something equivalent to what he receives. Only possible exception for me is if he's not earning ATM. Not the asshole. It would be different if he wasn't asking for gifts that cost hundreds of dollars. It makes me think one of a few things may be going on here. 1. He is too lazy to put any thought into a gift. 2. He is secretly broke or has a big loan or something and doesn't want to tell you. 3. He's using you for stuff. 4. He's secretly a child. I get that a handmade gift is nice, but it sounds like he basically just makes you a card. Which is obviously something you can appreciate, but not when he is asking you for elaborate gifts and he is not reciprocating. If the paper cutout PS5 feels tacky, make him a cake and decorate it like a PS5.
Not the asshole. And just give him a laminated picture of a PS5 this Christmas so he can hang it on the tree.
Not the asshole. Draw him a picture of a PS5 and call it good.
Not the asshole. If this is how he treats and values you, is this really a man you want to spend the rest of your life with? He sounds selfish. He could easily buy something and still give you the handmade gift. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Not the asshole. Lol girl, you better make him a paper PS5. You are not to be blamed in this at all. Don't buy him anything unless you are paying someone to make him a console out of cardboard. He owes you much more effort than some paper cutout. Info. You guys are getting married. What is the plan for finances in the marriage? Also aside, if you haven't gotten a PS5 yet, I know people are camping the Micro Center every night to try to get those and graphics cards. If someone got me a PS5 and I paid them for it, I would still think that was an awesome gift. They're getting scalped for around double the MSRP. Not the asshole. You have shown him and verbally said that you want gifts that aren't handmade. This man expects a PS5 but will only give you pieces of paper. For years. At this point I would stop gifting in this relationship because resentment will ruin y'all eventually. Not the asshole. He sounds selfish with his money. I would make his gift this year and not buy him anything. If things blow up, you know what you're dealing with.
Not the asshole. Laminated paper and origami aren't handmade gifts from the heart. I make them when I'm bored.
Not the asshole. You should also be giving him handmade gifts. Maybe draw him a PS5?
Not the asshole. He's asking for a $500 plus item from you and won't buy a $100 item for you. He can make his handmade gift and buy you a few things that will roughly equate to the $500 you're spending. He's being cheap with you, the one person he should be generous with. Do you want to marry someone who isn't generous with you?
Not the asshole. Make him a PS5 out of a cardboard box.
Draw a PS5 on a piece of paper in Sharpie and give him that. Your fiancé is a massive a-hole. I could understand the first time, if you hadn't discussed it, but he's treating you like a fool now. You'd be an idiot to buy him an expensive gift. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. You clearly need to start making him handmade gifts. Also, the problem isn't that he's hand-making them. It sounds like they are not very thoughtful or time-consuming. Not the asshole. Tell him the deal is you'll both either do homemade gifts or purchase them. His choice and discuss pricing. Is he always cheap? It actually sounds like he's trolling you if he thinks a piece of paper is equal to a $500 gift. Personally, he would receive a construction paper gift from me, not something expensive. A handmade quilt is a big deal. A paper star sounds like a joke.
Just start giving him homemade gifts. Doesn't he love homemade gifts?
Not the asshole. You're both adults. You didn't need to tell him his last gift was inappropriate. He knew. I think he may deliberately be doing something he knows is difficult to point out, argue against because handmade gifts are nice and you like them. He's doing the absolute minimum, not even, and in such a way you will look like an asshole for talking to him about it. Yikes.
Hand make a cake in the shape of a PS5. Everyone is happy. Not the asshole. He should not be asking for ridiculously overpriced gifts.
Not the asshole. Also nah. He straight ignored your wish list and disregarded the talk you two had. Location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag.
Not the asshole. Just hand make his gift too. Problem solved.
Not the asshole. Handmade gifts are wonderful. What you are getting is not a gift, unless it was given to you by an elementary student. From an adult it is insulting. What he made did not take up his time or his money and was perfectly useless.
LMAO, this guy is fleecing you. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. I don't know what his financial situation is like, but my girlfriend is disabled and can't work, so has virtually no money. She will handmake me gifts occasionally but will still buy me gifts I want that she can afford. Yeah, money isn't everything and it shouldn't matter who spent more. However, you're getting him something that he really wants and can use. He's not getting you something you want and has no functionality other than being an ornament. Why don't you handmake him something this year, to see whether he really thinks that homemade gifts are better? Not the asshole. I love a homemade gift personally, but cutting out a Christmas tree is something a preschool child would give a parent. My husband's making my gift, but he's building me a sewing table and materials alone will cost hundreds. And it's going to take him a lot of time to make, not simply cutting out a paper for 5 seconds. Make him a present. Make him a really nice present, but don't spend 1 single cent even on supplies. After all, according to him, it's the thought that counts, right? Take the money you would have spent on his gift and go buy yourself something really nice on Boxing Day sales.
Not the asshole. This dude is using you. Not the asshole. Just like he turned down your list, don't use his suggestion, instead handmade him something nice.
Not the asshole. Don't want more origami gifts? Do some tutorials on YouTube and give him an origami gift. If he doesn't like it, you've proven your point. If he does like it, keep making origami gifts and save money on expensive gifts. Winking face.
Not the asshole. What he's doing is strangely controlling and greedy. There are red flags all over this.
Not the asshole. You are being taken for a ride. I can't wait to see next year's wishlist. VR headset. Motorcycle. Do you have an Amazon wishlist? It's time for you to start guiding him to things on there and hold off on the PS5. If he flakes again, you might want to consider how equitable this relationship is.
Not the asshole, but get used to this if you stay with him. And for the love of all things holy, do not spend hundreds of dollars for a PS5 when he won't listen to what you're directly telling him. You should give him a handmade PS5. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Honestly, I love handmade gifts, but these sound total crap. One of my friends made me a stuffed felt dachshund. My aunt painted a picture of me. Another friend gave me jam she'd made. The only person who gives me drawings is my little niece, and I love them, but she is under 10. Your fiancé is being cheap and not even putting in any effort. Honestly, gift giving is really revealing, and here he is telling you that you do not matter to him. Do you really want to marry this guy? It doesn't sound like he likes you much.
Not the asshole. He is playing you like the PS5 he is demanding. He is basically having you shell out for a shopping list while refusing you. Get him a card and a teddy bear. Let him know the gifts will be comparable moving forward. Has he ever gotten you a gift that he didn't draw on?
Not the asshole would love an update on this one when you have one. Not the asshole. When I say I love handmade gifts, it's because they're usually filled with effort and thought. I sew and can do some woodworking. I'm making a lot of my gifts this year. All of them are taking several hours of effort. By the sounds of it, your fiancé is asking for big-ticket items, a PS5. Come on, and not reciprocating the same level of gift. If someone got me an origami star or laminated Christmas tree when they told me they wanted a Switch, I would be livid.
Not the asshole. I used to make handmade gifts for people before they told me to stop, but the thing is, the gifts I made were of materials that costed $15 to $30, while gifts I got were around that price range too, $10 to $25. They were equal in price, while he is literally handing you a colored piece of paper in return for a PS5 console. Something isn't right here.
Not the asshole. Just tell him you won't be exchanging gifts this year. Then go buy something nice for yourself, cause you deserve it. This is just strange, with a grown man giving you little bits of paper as gifts. I'd just be honest and tell him there's no way in hell I'm buying him an expensive gift, so he can hand me a piece of paper with Sharpie on it. You might as well work on that communication thing now, before you marry this guy. Have no idea how you kept a straight face.
Not the asshole. There is a difference between a handmade gift and being a cheapskate. Your boyfriend is making out like a bandit and taking advantage of you.
Make him a present. Make it a tradition. Save on presents for yourselves, and get your own gifts of what you want with your own money.